So I've worked off camera and just repeated that process, made more towers, duplicated, Control D will duplicate what you've selected. And now we're going to do render settings. And what we're going to do here is change to mental ray. And then mental ray has different tabs for it, but it still keeps your width and height ratio that you've set for your image size, so it does remember that. So now we're going to go to indirect lighting. And under environment, what we're concerned with is physical sky and sun. So we're going to create that. So you just click it. And then down here you can see it actually created what's called sun direction. And I'll select that in a moment. And that's actually going to mimic the sun in our scene. It's a directional light, so we're going to move this up. And basically the position of this doesn't matter, but the angle does. So what we want to do is just rotate. I'm just moving this so I could, have it in a better spot. And then if you make sure your panel's selected, and under render settings, like if you're doing test renders, I usually lower the size. So if you maintain with height and you scale this down, they'll both change, and the 2:3:5 ratio stays the same. So keep that clipped. And now we're only going to render it at 500. That left clapboard is your render view. And then now you've rendered from your camera, and it's rendering from the shot camera based on that light. Now if you rotate that light some more, and again, directional light, rotation is what matters. I probably moved it too far. Let me angle it back. There you go. Now we're rendering right now with our image plane visible, so we'll fix that in a second. So again, and you can see the warmth and intensity of the light is changing based on the angle of the sun, which mimics real world settings. So now I'm going back to the image plane, and if you lessen the alpha gain to 0, the image plane is effectively hidden from screen. And if you render, now you've got that beautiful sky coming through, that the sky and sun that you set up works. And you just slide it back to get your image plane to do more of your modeling and placement. But just so you know, like, that's how you can easily get rid of the image plane without having to delete it. So now if you see, the elements have a Lambert shader. So under Window, Rendering Editors, Hypershade, this will give you access to the shaders in our file. And right now, Maya comes in with the default Lambert 1. What we basically want to do is create an additional Lambert that we're going to assign. You don't usually want to alter the default Lambert 1 in Maya. It's just a good rule. So now under Maya, if you scroll down, my setup might have more things in there, but what you're looking for is the Lambert shader. And there you can see it's called Lambert 2. And then we'll just rename this in our attribute editor. And what I'm going to call this is what's in my scene. So I'm going to call this rock color. I'm going to make another Lambert and then rename this castle color. And then really for our sake, you can just keep it super simple. If you left click on the gray swatch, you have same thing you see in Photoshop, like a color slider, and you basically pick and choose the color that you want the shader to be. So again, this is very basic. We're just going to do like a basic paint on the objects in your scene. So now if you left click, select the objects that you want to assign that shader to, and then hold shift, I believe, to keep the group together, and then right click now on the shader, and then there's assign shader to objects. And then now I'm doing the other shader for the rock. And I haven't changed this, and now I'll change this to group a different color, and then you'll see that gray turn to whatever color. See, now it's turning red that I translate it to, and I'm trying to make like a deep brown. So now basically if you do a test render, you'll have the actual color of your objects coming through. And here you can see they actually have those two different color tones.